Hi everyone, welcome to a special episode of the Global Trade Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Christoffelsz. Today's episode's all around manufacturing technology, such an important part of global trade. And with me, Shane Williams, who's a best-selling author. We're going to talk about his latest book, ClustERPuck. But before we get into that, Shane, what got you into manufacturing and what do you love about it?
Mate, I kind of fell into manufacturing after 20 odd years in technology, working with global organisations. I figured I wanted a bit of a change of scenery. I wanted to work with, businesses that were making things. 20 years in media is a little bit of a different organisation, and I thought there's a lot of learnings around how to scale technology globally, but how do I do it with businesses that are making things, pumping stuff out, and really adding value? So that's where I was, I kind of fell into it.
Fantastic. And you mentioned globally there a few times, which is really important because with Import-Export TV, we've got so much a diverse audience. It doesn't matter what they're making. They can get raw materials from all over the world. But that manufacturing process has evolved immensely, especially over the last decade or so. Yeah. What part does technology now play in manufacturing?
I think you'll find that there's probably very few manufacturing businesses that are going to survive that aren't technology businesses at heart or aren't becoming that. Sure, traditionally it was if you had technology in your business, it might have just been a robot that did something, right? Now we've got, there's ERP, and we'll talk about that in a second, but there's technology that helps you with sales, there's with finance, there's technology that helps you with forecasting and supply chain. There aren't any manufacturing businesses in 2025 and beyond that aren't becoming technology enabled.
Yeah, and that's a great segue because what I want to talk about is how you plug in that expertise to any company who's doing manufacturing. How do you sort of go in there as a bit of a gap analysis? What's a typical process for Shane Williams?
Yeah, so my value proposition is to help people make confident technology decisions who don't traditionally have a technology role. How do you make commercially smart decisions when you're looking at technologies when you're really good at making stuff and managing people and operations and not managing technology?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? It's a couple of days worth of strategy workshops to understand where the business is going, where growth's going to come from, what are the capabilities that you have today, and what are some of the gaps that are going to stop you from getting to that next level of growth. And then we put together a roadmap.
Yeah, love it. Well, from the little I know about manufacturing, there's so many leaders and business startups and owners who they're great about knowing, as you said, their product, their niche, but they can't know everything. It reminds me of an old Henry Ford comment, which is basically, I don't need to know everything, I just need to employ the best people around me who know their specialties.
Yeah.
And that's where you really shine. So it's a great way to talk about now ERP. For some of the audience who ERP can actually be misconstrued sometimes, tell us what ERP is in the true sense.
Yeah, so ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Some folks think it's a finance system, some folks think it's a manufacturing operations system. But the way I like to describe it is it's kind of the heart. It's the one place where all the different information comes together that enables you to make smart decisions about manufacturing, about finance, about forecasting and sales. It brings all that together. It's the heart of all the other systems.
Yeah, love it. And the title, who came up with that? You got the credit for that?
I'd love to say I have credit for that, but there's a really smart fella named Cole Fink. You've met him.
Yeah.
And he and I spitballed that one over a beer for a few afternoons, and that's what we come up with.
Oh, I love it. It's a great title, and it's actually a really apt title, really, for manufacturing who are trying to navigate their way through all this wave of new tech and new AI and new systems, new robotics, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the antithesis of the title was, if you get this wrong, it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so we worked ERP into the title, and that's why it's about talking about the mistakes that folks make when they're trying to implement these systems, and then how to avoid them. That's really the key, right? Is that you can successfully navigate these projects. They will be complex, but they don't need to be failures.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of lessons from plenty of people who've made them that you don't need to remake.
Well, that's where I think what you've just highlighted there, Shane, is you got the opportunity and the expertise that you work with so many varied companies that you learn those 5% from different widget businesses that you can then take all that knowledge, all that experience into a company and avoid them making those silly mistakes.
Yeah, that's the value, right? Like, I'm not 20 years in manufacturing, I'm 20 years in working with technology businesses in global transformations and understanding what works and what doesn't, and meeting smart people all across the world who've been on this journey a million times and absorbing all those lessons to make sure that we can avoid them and we can do a better job at growth.
Yeah, and that obviously fast tracks the growth, fast tracks implementation, and avoids costly mistakes.
100%. There's hundreds of millions lost per year on failed software technologies, or implementations rather, and I think that's the benefit that a book like this brings.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things I really want to showcase with you is that you're not just Australia, you can cover any company in the world.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there might be a whole bunch of nationalist sentiment at the moment, but realistically, we're a global community. technology is global, and I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? We can leverage lessons from right across the globe to learn what's working really well in Europe, can we apply that in Australia? What's working in Australia, can we apply that in Asia?
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of tech.
Yeah, love it. So let's talk about how can companies get in touch with you? How can they, basically talk about their pain points and see how you can help?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is shanewilliams.com.au. You can find me there. I'm also on LinkedIn. We also have the podcast, Manufacturing Tech Australia, and folks who are interested in being on the podcast should reach out and share your stories with us so that we can share them with our global audience.
Yep, I'm a massive fan of the podcast. Been lucky enough to be on there myself. You bring together so many industry experts, and it's a great way to share knowledge for free, essentially, to tap into some of the best minds right across manufacturing.
Yeah, so listen in, but definitely come to the website, check it out, and I'd love to meet you.
Yep, shanewilliams.com.au. Make sure you get the book as well, ClustERPuck. You will definitely not regret it. And all of you in manufacturing, doesn't matter what area of manufacturing, you can benefit from talking to Shane. Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much for having me on the show.
Cheers, my
Cheers.
pleasure.